Yeah.
In my head, I started thinking about, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the Pennsylvania laws around, the eggshell plaintiff, as we learn in law school,
Yeah.
right? Take the client as you find them. How does any of that play into, what you do?
Well, it comes up in almost every case. It's very rare to have an injured person or someone's coming to you for representation for a personal injury case. It's very rare to have someone who doesn't have something that they complained of in their past, whether they had a previous car accident or some type of sports injury or whatever the case may be, that their spine is compromised. A lot of people have gone to chiropractors for maintenance, things of that nature. And then inevitably, I'm sure you do the same thing. It's one of the first questions I ask is like, well, tell me a little bit about your medical history. And inevitably there's going to be something in there that, involved the spine or involved the neck or the back, or some other injury, fracture, some other orthopedic injury. And inevitably that comes up in our cases when we have a person who's been traumatically injured. The opposing side, the opposing insurance company, one of the first things that they look at is what kind of medical history has this person had. And oftentimes they already have that information at their disposal. The insurance companies, as you know, have the ability to do a search, and they can see what other claims that a person has made in the past for other car accidents or other injury producing claims. So they at least have an inkling that you've had some type of injury in the past. So that becomes important. It's something that we have to look at because that could have an impact on the injuries and the damages that you're claiming in your case. But as you point out, one of the important things to keep in mind is that the law in Pennsylvania, like in most states, recognizes that some people could be more susceptible to injuries than others, but that doesn't mean the law should treat them any differently. And as you mentioned, that's called the eggshell plaintiff law. So in other words, if you or I are in a car accident in the same car, and that car is in an accident, you might have the greatest spine in the world, and you walk away from it without any injury whatsoever. Whereas I had a back injury 10 years ago, and because of the compromised state of my spine, I'm more susceptible to injury, and I sustain a more serious injury that lingers and leads me to go on and get injection therapy, physical therapy, possibly surgery. The law recognizes that I shouldn't be treated differently just because I'm more susceptible to injury than you were. And that's called the eggshell plaintiff law. In other words, just because my spine may be just similar to an eggshell and susceptible to cracking, that doesn't mean that I should be any less compensated.